Okay, let's talk motorcycle gear. So in this particular video, I'm going to touch on helmets, because helmets are the only piece of equipment that you are legally required to own and use whilst riding a bike here in the UK. All of the gear is completely optional. Now, there are 1,000 videos out there of people talking about their helmets and what they mean for the safety ratings, ECE rating this, 2206, 2205, Snell testing, so on and so forth, the different stickers you need for track testing, blah, 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 blah. Thousands of videos for that. You'll find all the information you need. So I'm not going to touch on any of that. What I'm going to talk about is the difference between a affordable helmet and a more premium version, such as this one. Now, I know I said I wouldn't go into detail about what ECE 2206 and 2205 and blah, 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 all that sort of stuff means, but you do need to have a basic understanding of what that is to understand what I'm talking about in this video. So ECE 2205 and 2206 are the ratings that all helmets here in the UK need to be sold for road use. But this is the baseline, okay? The absolute baseline. Just because a helmet meets ECE 2205 or 2206 doesn't mean the helmet's actually any good. This is the absolute bare minimum a helmet needs to meet, okay? So there is a distinct difference between a good helmet and a bad helmet, despite them both having the same safety rating. So the first thing to look at when you're looking at helmets is, what is the shell constructed from? So typically, the more affordable helmets will use things like an ABS plastic on the outer shell. Now, the ABS plastics, these tend to be not as durable over time, a little bit more heavy as well, so they give you a bit more fatigue and so forth in your neck. So on a long ride, you will know you're wearing one of these more affordable helmets and stuff. Whereas when you go for a more premium helmet, such as this one I've got in front of me, these use carbon fiber or fiberglass composites within the shell, which is much, much lighter. And also, these things are better at dispersing impact. So the material itself doesn't tend to crack or fracture in such a small area. It disperses the impact across the entirety of the shell, which obviously, in the event of an accident, is really important. So the main takeaway when you're thinking about construction is a more premium model helmet. It's going to give you less fatigue and protect your melon much better than a polycarbonate. The next thing to consider is liner quality. So the more affordable, cheaper options will tend to just use like an EPS style liner on the inside of them, which is a fancy way of saying an expanded polystyrene filling. They'll tend to just be one density, such as this particular one. So one density throughout the entire helmet. So no matter where you hit your head, it's the same thickness inside the helmet. This is fine. Like I say, it will meet the safety standards, but when you step up to a more premium style helmet, you'll find that you'll end up with like multiple layers of EPS within them, or different densities, or to kind of deal with different forces and impacts at different speeds, and also different areas of the helmet with thicker or thinner EPS to help make sure that the weight of the helmet is spread quite evenly and make sure that every element of your head is well protected. Some more premium helmets also include MIPS, which is like a protection against rotational forces and brain injuries to do with rotation and shock that way as well. So again, that's another point to the more premium quality helmets. The next element to think about is comfort and fit. So cheaper quality helmets, more affordable ones, will tend to just use one shell size, maybe two different shell sizes with thicker padding on the inside of them to adjust to the different size people's heads. Whereas a more premium model will have various different shell sizes, meaning that the padding isn't what's adjusting the helmet and protecting your head. It's to do with the actual shell itself is doing all the work, rather than this kind of linings and stuff. You'll also note that on the more affordable helmets, the linings, they tend to be cheaper, made of less quality materials. They won't have as good moisture wicking qualities. The visors will fog up easier. There's a whole plethora of things with them. You'll have to find, with a more affordable quality helmet, you'll be taking the padding out more often to wash it. Whereas a more premium quality one, the helmet will still feel fresher for longer on the inside of it. So again, that's another reason why it's really worth investing in top quality gear at the start. Next up, sort my hair out after having that helmet on. Right, then you've got, on the next point, is ventilation and aerodynamics. So on a more premium quality helmet, you'll find you have way more ventilation options. Like for example, on this one, I've got the chin, I've got the top of my head, I've got the air vents just here above my eyebrows. On the back, I've got the exhaust ports as well. Far more going on with this helmet for its ventilation compared to my old one, which literally just had the chin. That was all I had. And it fogged up like no end as well. It had these open vents at the top, which I could never close, and the exhaust ports at the rear, but you know, this is just much more control over this one. The other benefit of having a more aerodynamic shell is the fact that it reduces drag, which then means that when you're out on a ride, you're not getting that kind of wind noise, that buffeting, trying to pull your head back and fight it, and that extra fatigue that I mentioned earlier with the heavier helmets. It adds more fatigue to your neck, tiring you out much quicker, reducing the amount of time you can actually go out and enjoy the ride. Over there. Finally, we're going to talk about features and finish. So this is another difference between a more affordable helmet and a more premium one. As you'd expect, a more premium helmet does come with more features. So a quick comparison, these are both Bell helmets. This was a more affordable MX-9, I think it was called, MX-9 Adventure. This had one vent on the front, as I mentioned, on there. It did come with a tinted visor, but you have to swap it out with the standard clear one it also came with. There's no pin lock, so it fogged up like no tomorrow. Was a bit of a nightmare in that sense. There's no cutouts for any speakers or anything inside it. It did have MIPS, which obviously I've mentioned, that's the rotational forcings. That was pretty good. That's one of the reasons why I went with this one. But other than that, it was your pretty standard helmet. Yeah, it was a very good starter helmet. But then we move on to my new one. Again, Bell, as I've mentioned. I've now got ventilation above my top of my head, the exhaust ports at the back. I've got the ventilation just above my eyebrows. I've got the chin ventilation as well. It comes with one visor, but it is a anti-fog pro tint. So only one visor, but it does change to dark in the sunlight. I've got cutouts inside it for the speaker ports if I want to put speakers inside here. Magnetic lining, so it comes out really, really easy. Pops back in really easy as well. So it makes cleaning it an absolute doddle. And you know, it's just overall a much more comfortable, much better helmet because it's also got multiple layers of protection that I also touched on in there. Oh, and also it's got this magnetic chin double D magnetic strap, which is nice and handy because it's not faffing around with a little clip. So when you spend a bit more, you do find out that you get a few more creature comforts and stuff with your helmet. So again, I'll go back to the idea that when you're first starting out, I know you have a lot of kit to buy, but if you're investing in that kit, I would really recommend you put a good chunk of your budget towards a high quality helmet and then do what you can with the rest of the kit. So with that all said, an affordable quality helmet, as long as it's ECE 2205 or 2206 rated, will be more than good enough. But the investment now in something with a bit more premium, a bit more quality to it, more features, that's an investment that's going to go forward into your safety and a more enjoyable ride as you get out there.